so these notes go into the HBS course file. This is a very quick HBS tissue review. We talked about tissues in PBS, but just want to go over it real quick. So levels of organization, basic ones, we go from cells, same type of cell builds a tissue, different types of tissue build an organ, different organs work together to create an organ system, all of the organ systems together create the organism. And remember, we can kind of backtrack that. So within the cell, there are organelles, and all of those organelles have specific jobs to allow the cell to function. Organelles themselves are made up of molecules. Molecules are made up of atoms, so we can kind of backtrack that as well. That has to do with epithelial tissue. Okay, so we put this insert in our PBS comp book. We're going to put that in here as well. 4 different types of tissue: epithelial, connective, muscle, and nerve tissue. For nerve tissue, the main components of nerve tissue are neurons, which are nerve cells, and then neuroglia. These are cells that support and protect the neurons. So neurons and neuroglia. Nervous tissues found brain, spinal cord, but we have nerves throughout the body as well. Function of nervous tissue is to receive and send nerve impulses. So they pick up information, process that information, and send out instructions on how to deal with that information. Muscle tissue. So we have smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle is the voluntary muscle. We have control over that. Cardiac and smooth is involuntary muscle. Cardiac is specifically muscle for the heart. Smooth muscle can be found in other places. It's involuntary muscle that could be in like your digestive system organs, your blood vessels, that's involuntary. Function of muscle tissue is to cause movement. It has those cells and fibers that can contract, and we're going to look at those more specifically in HBS. Connective tissue, that's kind of what we're starting with in HBS. Protect, support, strengthen, store, bind. We have cells in a non-living matrix, and we'll look at this more in detail. Examples of connective tissue: bone, cartilage, adipose tissue. Remember, adipose tissue is fat tissue. Blood is an example of connective tissue. Tendons, ligaments, those are examples of connective tissue. And epithelial, those are our linings. They can be specialized to absorb or secrete. They are cells that are usually packed tightly together to form continuous sheets. Skin, linings of the alveoli. Epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue does not have nerves or blood vessels. An example of epithelial tissue is the lining of the esophagus, and that lining helps to protect against the abrasion, pH, and chemical composition of food. So pH, it could be whatever you're eating could be very acidic or very basic, and that would damage your cells. So we need to protect against that. Chemical composition, abrasion. So what you're eating can be rough and it might physically damage your cells as you're swallowing it. So we need to protect against that. Another example of epithelial tissue is the skin. Skin is keratinized. That helps to protect against water loss and abrasion. Our skin is dry, and so if a pathogen lands on it, it's too dry for that pathogen to survive, and so it will help to kill those pathogens and protect us. And I forgot connective tissue. We had some examples of our connective tissue down here. This is our spongy bone, this is our compact bone, and this was our adipose, our fat tissue.